What is up, players? Welcome to episode number 97 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms while we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to Brett in the show, go to readyplaynetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter and TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is November 19th, 2021. I'm your host, Dan Lima. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. Louis Menchaca.
You know, Dan, with how much of a fat show we have planned, with all the controversies to talk about, I am going to be surprised if we can manage to squeeze it all into 90 minutes.
Oh, we're gonna find out, but we're not even gonna get into the show yet because I just wanna talk about life. I just wanna ease into stuff or whatever. Louis, I have been pretty much off the grid for the last like 4 or 5 days. Yeah, basically since Sunday morning, up until this morning. But then even then, I didn't have a lot of time to look into stuff. So pretty much everything we cover in the show today will kind of be news to me because I have a general idea. Like I've been able to catch up like a little bit, but I was pretty much out of the loop on everything, and that's because Leah and I decided to go on a cruise to celebrate our 1 year wedding anniversary. Which, by the way, to those that are wondering, COVID, and I get it, we're worried about it too. But I can assure you that they're putting a lot of securities in place right now to make cruising really safe. We did it with Carnival, and they actually had everybody be vaccinated and show their proof of vaccination. And on top of being vaccinated, also have a negative COVID test done in the last 24 hours before the cruise. So we had to do, I mean, we're already vaccinated, but we also had to do a COVID test, which we had kind of forgotten about until the day, and then that was a bit crazy because in the morning we're scrambling trying to figure out where we can get a COVID test last minute before this thing. And it was actually more difficult than you would think. We ended up having to spend a lot of money because the places where you could get it for cheap or free were all booked or just not doing it that day. It was a Sunday. Um, but on top of that, we also had were required to wear masks pretty much the entire time while we're not eating in the cruise. So vaccinated, proof of like not having COVID, and yet everybody wearing masks. So it's almost like an abundance of caution.
Yeah.
Of of course, that in certain scenarios, people took their masks off or whatever, like they're if they're in the pool or stuff like that, drinking. There are plenty of situations where people might not have had their masks on the entire time, but it felt pretty safe. And they talked about how they're basically going above and beyond with the safety measures because they don't want any COVID case coming out of the cruise ships so that they don't need to stop doing them. They said that so far there hasn't been a single COVID situation since they went back to it.
You know what's kind of interesting is like cruise ships are like petri dishes, and like I even got sick, like a cold, like a sore throat, kind of runny nose kind of situation. In my last cruise that I went to back in 2019, which was pre-COVID.
Hmm.
So I just think that even just under normal conditions, like going on a cruise ship, you'll catch something. And I just wonder to myself, like, is like, hey, even if you don't go on a cruise, like during the pandemic, you're just still, it's still kind of a situation where everyone's like all
Yeah,
enclosed together. The cabinets are on a recycled air system, like enclosed air conditioning kind of situation. So I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sure there's still some level of risks, but they're basically doing everything they can to minimize the possibility of it happening because they don't want to get shut down again. But
Oh yeah.
regardless, the experience was great, and then I ended up not having because I didn't want to pay for internet. I mean, the whole point was to kind of go away and chill and not think about real life for a few days. So I lost service pretty quickly, after the ship left, and even on the ports where we stopped, I thought I was gonna get service, but I didn't really get good service. So
I can't
I was
believe you
pretty
didn't pay for the
much
onboard Wi-Fi. How dare you?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, the whole that would almost like defeat the purpose of the trip to begin with, which was to unplug and I don't want to be scrolling through Twitter while I'm trying to relax on my vacation and stuff. So it was nice to it was nice to not do that. So yeah, I've been pretty much off the grid for a few days. Don't know what happened. I came back and I'm like, okay, so some Activision thing, controversy, whatever, some other stuff, the Game Wars, all right. But we're gonna catch up on all of that today. We're gonna catch up on it together. Lewis is gonna help me out here a little bit if I'm a little out of the loop with things, So feel free to cut me off and etc. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to give that intro to everybody.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, fair enough. I don't really have a whole lot to add to that, but I just wanted to ask one last thing before we can move on about your cruise. Like, was it at least hella cheap because of the cruise industry being like is what it is?
I've only done two cruises as an adult, meaning that I actually, booked it myself and looked at the prices and stuff. And I did one in no, not 16, in 2018 in Florida, leaving out of Florida. And then I did this one now. And the prices were not bad. The prices were actually, I would consider them pretty cheap. But I think the one I booked in 2018 was also relatively cheap. So I don't think like I actually I find cruises to actually be a very cheap way to go on vacation. I feel like people tend to overestimate how much cruises actually cost in their heads. Like if you take a flight somewhere and you stay there for a few days and you pay for a hotel and everything, you're probably spending more than you would in a cruise.
Hmm.
Now, granted, there's a lot of extra expenses in the cruise as well if you're buying drinks and whatnot. But as far as like the base price of the cruise,
Yeah, they get
it's
you with the
usually in the few.
they get you with the amenities, the drink price, the drink package,
Yeah.
the excursions, and all that stuff. Oh, and the photos
Yeah.
like that they take on the cruise.
Oh yeah, the photos are so expensive. I always end up like being so selective with those. It's like, oh, we're gonna find the few like best ones, and then that's the ones we're taking because, yep, they're
All
like
right.
$20 a pop.
Yeah. Before we move on,
Yep.
just my own personal update. I'm sick right now for all you viewers, so if
Hmm.
I sound weird, it's probably because my voice is a little hoarse. I'm also talking right now with a cough drop in my mouth because I don't know if you video watchers were watching, you can see that I popped a cough drop very slickly or whatever, or maybe not so slick. I don't know, but whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna let you know right now that I can mute myself if I'm coughing, which is fine and all that stuff. So yeah,
The other thing too is that I was literally on the ship this morning. By the way, I was on the ship this morning. I woke up at like 7 a.m., finished packing our stuff. We checked out and everything. Had breakfast, checked out, and then I drove home. And then I went to work. So I actually had I was in the ship this morning. Yeah, because I didn't take time off for today. So I left I'm very efficient with my like time off management. I don't want to waste a single day. So I actually came back home, went straight to work for my 8 hours, and now I'm here to record the podcast. So I'm also pretty tired, and you can maybe hear some of it in my voice and stuff. But
you gotta
also, I drink a lot. I
you
drank a
gotta
lot
you gotta
yesterday,
take it from the
but
Lewis playbook and take a vacation from your vacation. So.
yeah, I know, I got to learn from that. But anyway, Lewis, let's go to our first segment here, which is going to be sharing the love. So sharing the love is a segment that we do, a few times a year. I think we've gotten better. We've gotten better about
Yeah.
doing it like, every few weeks or whatever, where we get to talk about games or sometimes consoles that, have left a mark in our stories or childhoods, whatever. And we usually use this opportunity to tell stories as well. Lewis likes to show stuff to the camera sometimes. I don't know if he's going to do that today. But Lewis, I'm guessing you put this on the doc. So do you wanna share about something today?
Yes, I thought of something awesome to share about because ever since like we've been announcing that we're leaving video, I gotta do show and tell as much as I can. I gotta play to the camera as best as possible. So for this week's sharing the love, I have decided to basically share the love on a console that it's got its recognitions. I think it's got its dues, but it doesn't get enough of its dues. You know what I mean? Like people
Okay.
talk about it and they don't talk about it. We on this show barely even mention it.
Okay.
So I decided to share the love for the PSP.
Oh, dang. I had one of those. Yeah.
So, I just gotta say that number one, this is such an iconic like boot up sound whenever you do the whole like, yeah, like, oh, I love it. And I still, this PSP still works. It still got my family photo from 2008. This is me and my brothers and my mom and dad. So
Hmm.
it's got like, this is like the iPhone back in the day. All right. As a matter of fact, this was the very first console. This very PSP that I'm holding was the very first console that I, bought with my own money. And I say that with air quotes
Mm.
because it's not really my own money, but it's not like I worked for it, but I did and I didn't. So I got it for myself in Christmas of 2005, and it was a situation where I had an allowance. I had a weekly allowance just for existing. All right. So like every Sunday, my dad would give me like $20, and I would just save it up over the course of the year, leading into Christmas, so I can buy myself the PSP. And so I got like two games at launch with this. I lost my NBA game. Like I don't know where it's at. I guess I just completely lost it. I don't have the game case or anything. But alongside NBA Live, I think it was like NBA Live '06 or '05 or whatever. I also had it came with a demo disc, and you guys can't see this, but um, it was a demo disc of just like game trailers, movie trailers, and music videos. And and when you pop it in the PSP into this thing, you're like, let me see here. It makes a cool like little springy sound, and then whenever you boot it up, it has a nice little sound that just I just gotta say like when it comes to like menu sounds, they are almost iconic in their own way. Like when you think about the PS1 boot up sound and everything like that, it's just sort of like PlayStation has it right. So this is the sound right here. Oh, damn, this thing takes forever to load, by the way. But
Oh yeah, anything from the past will take forever to load compared to stuff nowadays.
But yeah, I just played it there, so it's a little jingle, and yeah, I just think it was really cool because the thing is, it's like you know, this is 2005. The most we had back then is like was an iPod, and it was like the circular wheel one.
Hmm.
And so like a portable handheld device that you can watch media on wasn't really a thing. Like one of the first original things to like download was an app on called Crackle, which Sony later bought out, and it was like it's like a built-in YouTube, and you can like download videos. And I remember like people like put like non copyrighted stuff on it back in the day, like Family
Hmm.
Guy compilations and stuff like that. And it was so awesome. There were so many accessories, including like a speaker for it, like an actual official speaker. Um, and what else? Oh yeah, the memory cards. The memory cards were like they were proprietary and they sucked ass. They were expensive as fuck. I have a 4 gigabyte card, and then this is a 32 megabyte card. And I remember using this as like my
I
daily MP3 player.
I actually didn't know that was also the case with the PSP. I thought the proprietary cards was a Vita thing.
Nope, it was on
Nope.
both. And then what else? What else to say? All right, let me just go over my little library. I have 6 games that I have.
Hmm.
I played a lot of Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai. It was
Nice.
awesome. This was the launch game that I got, and I played the shit out of it. Beat Ape Escape on the loose.
Hmm.
And then I got this game later, which is a PS2 game ported, Prince of Persia Revelations. I actually beat it on the PS2. I didn't beat it on the PSP because I already beat the game once. I didn't need to. Um, I don't know why I got this, but SOCOM. I don't think I ever played it. And
I own that game as well, but I played it, I think, but I don't really have strong memories of it.
and then I got a Mind Quiz for Christmas once. Never played it because it was a Christmas gift from a friend. I didn't really care about it. It's basically PlayStation's Brain Age, and that's about it. I guess
You
that's
know,
all I wanted to say about the PSP is that it was a piece of technology that was ahead of its time, and the Vita sort of succeeded it very well, in my opinion.
I
Despite,
think the
yeah,
PSP is such an interesting console because you think of like any other console, and there's usually certain standout games that everybody who owned them played and talk about and stuff. But I always get the impression with the PSP that everybody played something different and that there aren't as many standout games. But I almost feel like people almost didn't own the handheld for the games. They owned it more for the features and everything else that they could do on it. I know it sounds weird. I'm sure that's not the case for everybody. But my family owned a PSP, and I never used it that much really. I had a few games. Like I had SOCOM, I remember that. I had some random licensed games, some sports like maybe like FIFA and NBA and stuff like that. But it didn't really get a lot of use in my household. But one of my friends in high school, Victor, he used to run or be part of like this group of people that would run a website online that was all about cracking your PSP and downloading stuff to it, putting movies on it, music on it. And he was really big into that. Like the PSP was basically a phone for him. What phones are for us now. It was like that for him, and then also emulator. Like you'd emulate all sorts of old games on it as well. So I almost feel like the PSP was as popular as it was, not because it had a Mario 64 equivalent killer app on it, but instead because of everything you could do with it as a console.
As a technology, yeah. I
Yeah.
also have like my old pictures are on here. This is me at 18 when I was like, but let me just go ahead and say that I actually have two PSPs. Hashtag flex. But this PSP right here was my original PSP that I owned from back in the day, and you know who you are. You're probably watching this video on YouTube right now, so I'm not gonna name drop you simply because of legal implications. But you helped me um, crack my PSP. So this PSP is modded, so I can actually play NES ROMs and Super Nintendo ROMs like straight up in there.
Cool.
And it's part of the reason why I never bought any games because I could just play them all
Right.
on there. Which, to be fair to me, at the time I didn't have money anyways. It's not like I buy games. This is during the time where I would get like two games per console for the entire life of the console.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, this is a non-modded one, and I got MLB The Show for this. When I bought it, it was just already inside. So that's a cool one. And there was that, and also there's one other thing I wanted to mention about the PSP is whatever. Oh yeah, yeah. Now I remember what it was. This bitch right here. It's got an analog stick. It's like a little slider pad, like a circle pad from like the 3DS. This
Hmm.
thing right here was the very first time I ever encountered drift. I had to replace this thing several
Oh.
times, and this thing still drifts. Like I cannot play games on this PSP because the drift. And like after replacing the stick, the nub, I don't think it's the nub. It may be something underneath. It may be the board itself or whatever. But at least with the other PSP that I have here, at least this one works. So I can at least use that. But it just sucks that my baby doesn't work. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, we've thank you for sharing the love for the PSP, Lewis. Before we move on, let me ask you a quick question. Am I freezing up a lot on your end? Is my video coming through all right? My audio coming through all right?
Your audio is coming through perfectly fine. Your video freezes up, but you also go to like 144p to compensate.
Okay. Okay, because on my end, I keep seeing your video freeze up, every few seconds. But I'm guessing it's happening to me. Just wanted to confirm that. Um, I could try restarting, but I kind of just want to keep going if the audio is all right.
Cool.
All right, let's move on then to the next segment. Our topics of discussion. We're going to start with a big one today, basically a topic of the show. The Game Awards nominees for the year 2021 have been announced, Lewis. And it's interesting because I didn't know when the nominees were going to be announced. I don't think you knew either. But coincidentally, on our last episode, we made predictions of what the nominees would be. And you know what's interesting, Lewis, is that I was kind of anticipating that it was going to take a little bit longer, like that it would be maybe another week or two before we actually saw the nominees. And I wonder if anything would have been different if there had been a little bit more time, because we talked about a game that we both predicted as being amongst the nominees was the game Guardians of the Galaxy that just came out. And that game did not get a lot of Game Awards love. It did get some nominations in some of the smaller categories, but it did not get a Game of the Year nomination. And I have a theory that I still maintain the theory that I shared last week, which It comes across like that game is a little bit of a sleeper hit. That if maybe the jury had an extra week to submit their nominations, then maybe we would have seen that get a Game of the Year love over one of these other games because they're all pretty niche anyway.
Well, I mean,
Um,
if you think about what you did, I mean, you put it in your top six for Game of the Year nods, but you discounted Metroid Dread in exchange.
yes,
You know what I mean? Like, I
yes,
don't
yes,
know
yes.
if that we did our predictions game, and you landed more correctly. You got 5 out of 6 right, while I only got 4 out of 6 right, which I blame Dan. He convinced me a lot more than he swayed me. Let me just say that.
It's funny, Louis, how much I like manipulated that almost like by accident because during the show I kept talking about like, oh man, I don't know, like Forza might have a shot, and I also said, there's three platformers. I don't think they're all three gonna get a nod. And then when it came time to actually us making our final selection, then you had been swayed by my arguments, but I just kind of backpedaled and went a completely different way because I was just like, I don't know. I was just going with gut feeling at the end. I was like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna go with this. And then it turned out that I was mostly right. My only mistake was craving in Guardians instead of Metroid Dread, and you also put in Guardians there, and then it ended up not being there. But nonetheless, let's go through all the categories, Lewis, and predict who we think we're gonna is gonna win in every category. So do you want to just start with Game of the Year and then go from there?
Yeah, sure. So for Game of the Year, we are at Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And oh my God, I did not have the. Let's. There we go. There. I didn't. I forgot to put the game or the my window
Oh
on
yeah.
screen. But anyways, so yeah, Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. Now, last week I predicted that Deathloop would be the overall winner whenever I was compiling my shortlist, and you put Guardians of the Galaxy as your overall winner, and it's not nominated. So that
Yeah.
means that you have to revise your prediction. And I still don't feel strongly about any game on this list, and it's kind of interesting. Is like as a general rule, like as a general like big picture here, I think this year's lot is better than last year's sorry lot, in my opinion. Uh,
Wow.
just throwing that out there. I think that like this is like at least a stronger like if I were to use air quotes on this, I would say this is a more stacked year than last year was. So with that being said, um, I think Deathloop might still take it.
You know what's interesting, Lewis, is that I would actually disagree with you. I feel like last year had more um, traditional Game of the Year contenders, such as Final Fantasy VII remake and The Last of Us Part Two and Ghost of Tsushima. Those are games that kind of set the
Oh
world by
shit!
storm.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm think I'm predict. I'm think I'm. I think I'm remembering 2019. Yeah,
Yes, that is a better
yeah,
comparison.
yeah.
So
That's
cool.
the
Glad
one.
we clarified that.
Yeah, 2019 was the sorry
Um,
lot. Yeah, that's the one.
so here's I'm gonna read the 2019 list because I think it's an interesting comparison. We had Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which ended up winning on the Game Awards. We had Control, which won for IGN. We had Death Stranding, which also won for a bunch of other outlets. The Outer Worlds, Resident Evil 2, and Smash Brothers Ultimate. So the interesting thing about 2019 is that it didn't have, a huge AAA runaway success that like a Witcher 3 or
Yeah,
The Last of Us or anything like that.
or
That
Red
seemed
Dead
to be
2. Yeah.
like a strong front runner, right? Or God of War and stuff like that. It was more of like here's a bunch of games that are really enjoyed by a small group of people when compared to some of these other tentpole titles. And I think this is a similar year where we see, It Takes Two, which we both loved, but it's clearly, a small game. It sold like 2 million units or something, but still, in the grand scheme of things, it's a relatively small game. Then we got Metroid Dread, which is one of Nintendo's like C tier franchises when it comes to sales, not quality, but when it comes to sales. We got Psychonauts 2, which is very, cult hit, is a sequel to an old cult hit. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is a PS5 exclusive, and not a lot of people have the PS5 yet, and not as many people might have played that game. Resident Evil Village, which also it's a horror game that's just by definition a little bit more niche is an action adventure title or something. And then we got Deathloop, which is an arcane game, right? This is like the Dishonored of this year, so it is a very interesting year indeed. I'm gonna with the nominees that ended up being there. I'm actually gonna be boring and pick the same one you did, Lewis, because I do think Deathloop has the strongest chance of winning. I do think it was the game out of this bunch that had the most mainstream appeal. It's available on a lot of platforms. I think most people have played it. Out of the people that would be voting on this, it's not like It Takes Two. It requires you to have somebody else to play with, right? So I think that already limits a lot of the people that would have played it. Metroid Dread is only on the Switch, and it's like I said, like a lower tier kind of franchise in terms of sales. Rift Apart is only on the PS5. I just kind of feel like, the fact that it's multi-platform, that it's a shooter, it's more mainstream, and that it was critically beloved. I think Deathloop is the game.
I would say Resident Evil Village has it beat because it's on Xbox, whereas Deathloop
True,
isn't.
true, true, true.
But that
Um,
being said, like I'm gonna say this right now. I'm only gonna be happy if Deathloop, It Takes Two, and Metroid Dread are the winners because those are the games that I've played. The other three I haven't played, so therefore I would riot if either of those three wins. But I won't bat an eye if either of those three wins, the ones that I mentioned.
all
So
right, yeah, I'm playing through Metroid Dread, and I finished Resident Evil Village, and I finished It Takes Two. So when it comes down to it, we're pretty good as far as having played the games that are nominated this year, which is not common, not
yeah,
common for this podcast.
exactly.
All right, Louis. Our next category here is best game direction, which typically just kind of mirrors game of the year for the most part. We have Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So the surprise here, I guess, is Returnal coming in, taking the place of Metroid Dread and Resident Evil Village. So for this one, let me see. You picked the winner for the other one first, so I should probably pick the winner for this one first. I'm actually I'm gonna give it to It Takes Two. I'm gonna give it to It Takes Two because I think game direction makes me think of who the director of the game is. It comes across like an award that goes to that person, who the Kojima is for this game, and I just kind of see Joseph Fares with It Takes Two. I think he's growing a lot. I think he's getting a lot of attention, and I think he'll take this one.
So here's the thing. I am a little bit. I'm a little bit confused about how to vote because here's the thing. Last year, I took the egalitarian approach of uh, give as many games as love as possible. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
and you took the slant of sweeps. Like this game's gonna sweep and multiple categories, and you played off with your Last of Us predictions and stuff like that. Where I was trying to spread it thin, and I got fucked for that line of thinking.
yeah.
So I have yet to decide myself personally if I'm gonna go with the sweep strategy or the spread out, yeah, play the field strategy.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out. But for this particular category, I'm gonna go with Ratchet and Clank simply because, like, as I hear all about all the media coverage and stuff like that, like this game is all about 4K and like ray tracing and all this other stuff. I think, as far as game direction, just I think I know it's not like art style. I guess it's not like for like but I think this might this isn't art direction, but like in my head, I think art direction and game direction sort of go in hand. So
Yeah, the way I look at game direction is that it's almost like a design award. Like, which was the most intelligently designed game? And I feel like there's reasons to give it to any of the games in this list.
Returnal will probably
Um,
be the strongest candidate if you're talking about design, right? I would imagine.
yeah, possibly. I mean, Deathloop though, just I mean, based on the fact that it's a Game of the Year contender and it has the most nominations out of all the games on the Game Awards this year. So, if you want to go for the sweep strategy, by the way, you can probably give if you give everything to Deathloop, you're probably going to get half of them right at least. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, next one here is best narrative. For that one, we got Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange, True Colors, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Psychonauts 2. I'm gonna let you pick first, Lewis, but I'll tell you there's one game here that I'm pretty positive will not get it.
Oh, I'm gonna go with Guardians on this one.
Okay. Okay. wise. I think it's a wise pick. I heard a lot of people are praising it for its story. I think
And
the game
I watched Fame play it on the 24-hour live stream, and I'm like super sold on this game. So yeah,
mhm. I think the game that to me has no chance of winning this is actually It Takes Two, which we both played. But I think we both agreed when we were doing our review of it that the weakest part of the game was actually the story. You know,
I
the
would say the weakest part of the game was the acting, but well,
true, true, true.
yeah,
But I feel like that contributes to it as well, right? Like, yeah, it's you value the narrative more of a well acted game, right? Like It Takes Two. I didn't feel like it was poorly acted, really, but it just had the story just felt like too simple, and the payoff didn't feel that strong. I feel like we were really
yeah,
wanting more from it.
yeah.
Um, and Life is Strange: True Colors. That game came out, and I've heard nothing about it, so I don't see that happening either. Psychonauts 2, maybe that could be an interesting possibility there. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Deathloop. I'm gonna try to
Ooh.
be different. I think you might be on the money here with Guardians, but I'm gonna try to be different and give it to Deathloop here.
You might be on the money when it comes to the sweep because I mean I don't know like I think I'm gonna go with the diversity strategy again. If it fucks me over for a second year in a row, then I know to like start going with sweeps.
I think this year is more likely to have a more diverse results than last year because of what we were talking about, how the games are more like spread out.
Yeah,
For best
there.
art direction, we got The Artful Escape, which is an indie game. I've heard about it a little bit. We got Deathloop again. We got Kina, Bridge of Spirits. We got Psychonauts 2, and we got Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And over here, Lewis, I haven't really seen The Artful Escape, so I don't know about that one. It could be a good one, but I'm going to vote for Kina, which you picked as well. I wish you had waited for me to say it first so that it doesn't look like I'm just copying you.
So
But
yeah,
I'm
on the
gonna I'm gonna give it to Kina.
for you audio and video watchers because you guys can't see it, we have an Excel spreadsheet like on the side that you guys can't see, and so I'm when I update my vote, he can see me in real time update my vote. So yeah, I voted Keena just before he said it because I'm like thinking to myself like one of the things about from a marketing perspective I didn't know about Keena, and I think even Fame said it in his review of the game on the website, is that the graphics, the art direction, the style is beautiful. And that's one of the strongest points for the game, especially for an indie game. It's a game punching above its weight class from an art perspective. So yeah.
Louis, I am going to ask you to do something though. If you can pull up another tab and share it with the viewers on the YouTube video, and then search for The Artful Escape on Google Images. I just want to point out that this game has a very unique and colorful, a very cool art style as well. So I really
Holy
think that is a
crap!
possible strong contender too. The only thing that game has going against it is I don't think as many people played it as some of the other games here. In
Yeah, I never
fact,
even heard
based
of it
on
until the nominees. But yeah.
yeah, but it does look pretty good. So I did want our audience to see that as well. But yeah, so we're both going with Kina for this one. I could see Deathloop winning this too, by the way. Oh,
All right, I guess it's my
uh,
turn. So, best score and music: The Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077. I just want to excuse me while I spit in my mouth. Deathloop.
says the person who didn't play the game.
Shut up, Dan. Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Near Replicant version 1.2247744871139. Because fuck you. So we that's almost a there's a side topic to talk about Cyberpunk being nominated. People have taken umbrage with Cyberpunk being nominated. Now
Really?
I've seen there's been a lot of internet hoopla on Twitter about this, but all that notwithstanding, I would give them the benefit of the doubt for Cyberpunk in the sense that number one, most of the reviewers played it on PC, and there was almost no bugs or hardly any bugs. And number two, the game has since been patched many times over. So therefore, like it may not be running well on console still to this day, but at least patches for PC have been probably better performance by now. So I would say maybe you can grade the game on the current status and not so much the launch status. So but I don't really care. I don't think Cyberpunk is. I think Cyberpunk is like he's got the situation where recency bias is gonna hurt it. It's too long ago. It's too forgotten about. So Cyberpunk is not gonna win. My choice for this one is Guardians because that '80s soundtrack is so dope.
Okay. Well, on the subject of cyberpunk, since you brought that up, and like I said, I've been out of the loop. I don't even know what people feel about these nominations in general. I'm actually surprised we didn't see Cyberpunk for more categories, and I think nominating it for best score in music totally fair because the problems that the game had it doesn't seem like they had anything to do with score and music. It seems like people like that.
Fair enough.
So I think this is like totally fair. I don't see why you would have a problem with it. And the other thing too is like I guess the way I feel about it is that if a game is really good on one platform but bad in another, like I don't necessarily see a problem with that version of the platform. Like let's say like if Cyber 2077 slash PC version was nominated for Game of the Year, I don't think I would have a problem with that. And I almost feel like it should have, right? Like I mean I feel like it seems like it was like for everybody that actually did play it on a good PC and stuff that played that version of the game, it does come across like that version of the game was excellent. So I almost feel like we should in more categories, but I only played Cyberpunk for a few hours, so I don't really have authority to fend for it here. I just wanted to I'll play devil's advocate a little bit
Okay.
in that argument. I'm gonna vote
So which one is your vote? I didn't hear that one.
Death Loop.
Deathloop. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Next, you're up.
All right. Best audio design. We got Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal. And I'm gonna give it to Deathloop once again.
Wow. Um, having played Deathloop, yeah, I will agree with you on that one. I haven't played any of the other ones, mind you. You know what? I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna change my vote. I'm gonna go with Forza because I would imagine just the sound of tires on the tarmac just probably good. So why not?
I like your criteria there.
All right, my turn. Let's see. Best performance. Okay. Erica Mori as Alex Chen in Life is Strange True Colors. Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo from Far Cry 6. Jason Kelly as Colt Vaughn in Deathloop. Maggie Robertson as Lady Dimitrescu. Ooh, damn, Resident Evil Village. Ozioma Akaga as Juliana Blake in Deathloop. All right, I played Deathloop. They were good, strong performances. My initial knee jerk reaction was to give it to Giancarlo Esposito simply because he's the biggest star out of all of the bunch. However, people will be simping for Lady Dimitrescu, so I don't know how to like. It's a two horse race for me on this one. But I'm gonna go with my original knee jerk reaction and just give it to the big superstar. Um, yeah, Giancarlo for me.
I would have to look at like the past years to see whether the big star often wins or doesn't, because there usually is a big star nominated. But um, I'm gonna go with Lady Dimitrescu. So let's do Resident Evil Village for me.
All right, all right, you're
Now,
up.
our next category here is called Games for Impact. That usually means games that did something different, have some kind of cultural, social message, or something like that. And it's also often games that we might have not played. Here we got Before Your Eyes, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chicory, Colorful Tale, Life is Strange, True Colors, and No Longer Home, which I wonder what kind of cultural slash social commentary Boyfriend Dungeon has. I had no idea. Like that is a game where you it's basically a dating sim cross dungeon crawler where you find these like weapons that turn into people and you date them and stuff in the game. But anyway, um I'm gonna give this one to Chicory, a Colorful Tale, despite the fact that I don't really know the themes of the game too much. I just know that it was a game loved by the indie community this year, so I think maybe get some here.
I'm gonna go with Life is Strange just because it's the biggest IP on this one. So yeah.
All right. And you take the next one.
All right, for best ongoing game, the nominees are Apex Legends, Final Fantasy XIV Online, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Call of Duty Warzone. Now, it's a two-horse race on this one. It's Fortnite versus Call of Duty. Now, last year, Fortnite did not win. I think Genshin Impact might have won this category last year. So I'm going to go with Call of Duty on this one simply because I want Fortnite to win. However, given that they didn't win last year, they're not going to win this year, is my reasoning.
Yeah, it's funny, like we disagree a lot when it comes to like Fortnite opinions, and that's fine. I feel like Fortnite has been on this descent where it like they're like the way that they've maintained the game and add new things to it have I almost feel like they lost it with Fortnite. I feel like they don't know what they're doing anymore, and they haven't for a while. So I would be the one that I would be the most shocked if it won this category is Fortnite, because I don't think they deserve it all.
Yeah, they
um
definitely
from the
peaked already in the past somewhere.
that yeah that I guess that's a better way to put it, not to be too hateful, I guess, but yeah, they peaked, and I feel like now they're basically just kind of going downhill. And I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years we're not even talking about Fortnite anymore, personally. But so I'm thinking about the other ones. I think Call of Duty Warzone is a great choice. I think that's probably the most obvious choice. I'm gonna stir away from it a little bit, and I'm just gonna say Final Fantasy 14 to be different, and also because I know they've been supporting the game very well. The fans of that game are really in love with it, so gonna give it to that.
All right, your turn.
Now for best indie, we got 12 minutes game that Lewis and I played. Dead Store, which I've talked about a few times, but I didn't play it. Inscription, which I brought to Lewis' attention last week, by the way, and you were like, "I've never heard of this," and I was just starting to hear about it, and now it's actually got quite a few, not quite a few. I think it got like 2 or 3 nominations here. Um, and then Kina Bridge of Spirits and Loop Hero. 12 minutes. I liked it. I think Lewis liked it as well, but I know a lot of people had issues with it. So I don't know if that's gonna win. I think Inscription is coming out now. People are talking about it now. Kina, people love that. Um, I'm gonna say Death's Door for me.
All right, I'm gonna go with Kina. I honestly thought to myself at my first knee jerk reaction is because this is 12 minutes' only nomination that
Mm-hmm.
they should get it just on that basis alone. But when it comes to like the best indie game, like I don't even think 12 minutes was that like I don't think it like lingered in my mind as much.
Mm-hmm.
Even after having played the game and rolling credits, I think it was a little bit more overhyped in my head than it was than what we got. So I'm gonna go with Kina simply because like I know what the critical consensus is pretty positive on that one. I would imagine that it's probably better critically than 12 minutes. So Kina for me.
Totally. Yeah, the thing about 12 minutes is that here's where that difference between like the best versus the favorite comes in. Like I personally really like 12 minutes, but I also recognized all of its flaws. It was a very flawed game. It was a 6, right? But it was a 6 that I really liked. So I feel like I would be surprised if 12 minutes actually won. I feel like a lot of people walked out of it disappointed. So it's almost kind of surprising that it got a nomination to begin with, to be honest. But yeah, moving on here. Is it you now, Lewis?
Uh, yeah, sure, I'll take it. Best mobile game: Fantasian, Genshin Impact, League of Legends Wild Rift, Marvel Future Revolution, and Pokemon Unite. Now, I would personally like Riot if Pokemon Unite wins this one. I don't think it deserves it. Not because I played it, but because it just seems like trash. So I'm gonna give it to Marvel Future Revolution on this one.
I'm gonna give it to Pokemon Unite, and I think it has a really good chance of winning. People on the podcast I listen to love that game. They're always talking about how they're playing it. So
Are you
just
troll? It feels like you're trolling me.
I'm not trolling. The NVC crew, they like that game. They're often talking about it. So
Mm.
um, anyway, I'll give it to Pokemon Unite. But you should only riot if League of Legends wins.
Yes, because it's Riot Games. There you go. Nice. All right, you're up.
Now on to best community support. We got Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14 Online, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. I'm just gonna be consistent. I gave Final Fantasy an award on the other one. I give it here too. So I'm just going with Final Fantasy. Um, I think Destiny 2, like that's an interesting one to try to predict here because I know the fans both love and hate their community support at the same time. So,
You know what? I'll throw Fortnite a bone. I'll give it to Fortnite on this one. I mean,
all right.
let's see. 'Cause I think Fortnite has a better shot at winning the last category for ongoing game because best community support is developer driven. So it says recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, including inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches. So I don't know. Man, with the only thing about patches is Fortnite be patching every 10 weeks. So I don't know. That's the only case I can make for it. But I will just give it to Fortnite.
All right.
All right. Next up is innovation and accessibility. Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, The Veil, Shadow of the Crown. I never heard of The Veil, but I'm gonna give it to Forza simply because it's the first game with what is it called when you're deaf and you got like
Oh
sign
yeah,
language. Yeah,
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 auditory
yeah,
like auditory. Let's call it auditory accessibility support,
yeah.
right?
So let's go with Forza on this one for me.
I'm gonna give it to Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know the details, but I know they did some good work in accessibility for that game as well, which is why we're seeing it here. So yeah, just don't know too much about it, but I'm gonna give it to that. Now to best VR/AR game, we got Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, Lone Echo 2, Resident Evil 4 VR, Sniper Elite VR, and I'm gonna give it to Hitman.
Really, I was
Yes,
actually surprised. I think the obvious winner is Resident Evil. It got a lot of tens and nines when it came out.
I just I guess I would rather a new game that is VR compatible win this category than a old classic that just got ported to VR, you know. So I know that Hitman 3 is kind of old at this point. It came out in like January, but when it came out, I know playing it in VR was like one of the best ways to play it. I saw some people say that. So yeah, just maybe here's where Hitman gets something. That's why I'm
Fair
throwing it out
enough.
there.
All right, my turn. Best action game: Back for Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal. Now this is the one category that I'm actually like completely like throwing a dart at this because it feels like it's a four-horse race because I think other than Chivalry, I think all of these have a chance at winning this one like equally for their own reasons. Um, I'm gonna give it to Far Cry 6. Let's go with that
And I'll say Deathloop again.
one. Are you taking the Last of Us strategy?
I guess so.
All right.
I might go back and change some others to Deathloop.
All right, you're up.
I'll say this: if Far Cry 6 will win anything, this will be the one. This will be the one for Far Cry 6 to win, I think. But
Okay.
still going with Deathloop there. Best action adventure game. We got Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. This is so weird because some of these games are so different from each other. Like I don't think of Resident Evil Village, like thinking of Resident Evil Village and then Guardians and Metroid Dread as being part of the same category. I guess it makes sense, but they're also such different games. Um, I'm gonna say Guardians.
Guardians. Okay. See, this is the one that I'm very like. I think it's a two-horse race because I'm kind of split between Guardians and Metroid Dread. Um,
Hmm.
because I don't think I have Metroid Dread winning any categories in my predictions. So I feel like it should get awarded somewhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Metroid Dread on this one simply because I've given love to Guardians already in my previous predictions, and I have yet to give any love to Metroid Dread. So yeah.
All right.
All right, my turn. Best RPG or best role playing, whatever. Cyberpunk 2077. Again, let me let me cough in my mouth and spit and all that stuff. Monster Hunter Rise, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. It's a two-horse race. It's between Tales because it's the most successful game in the series, possibly revive the series, and Monster Hunter Rise because everyone was buzzing about Monster Hunter and talking about Monster Hunter all over Twitter back in March. So I'm gonna go with the bigger game and go with Monster Hunter because I think that's the game with the bigger popularity. It's not as niche. You know, it's got mainstream success going for it. So Monster Hunter for me.
I think Shin Megami Tensei 5 has no chance just because it just came out, so I don't think people would have had enough time with it really to nominate it here. I think you're onto something with Monster Hunter and Tales, but um, I'll also say that Cyberpunk probably sold more and got more, played by more people than both of these games.
Combined.
So if
Actually, probably
yeah,
about all four
possibly
of these games
combined.
combined. Actually,
True, true, true. I'm actually I think Tails is the safer choice, but I'm gonna do a wild card here just because why not? I'm gonna vote on Cyberpunk. You know,
that is a wasted vote, and you know it.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. I think it's your
Next
turn.
up, best fighting game. We got Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Guilty Gear Strive, Melty Blood Type Lumina, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, and Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. Which, by the way, Lewis, is this the first year where these are all actually new games on the fighting game category?
I believe so, and there's not there isn't a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat or an Injustice
Yeah,
to
because
dominate it either.
we usually see it's like Mortal Kombat, year 3 edition or whatever, and Street Fighter 5, everything that comes in it except the next DLC edition and like all of that stupid stuff. So let's see. I'm gonna give it to Nickelodeon.
I'm gonna give it to Nickelodeon as well. I think it's got the popularity of the Smash community behind it. It's being played in tournaments. The only other like wild card I would say would probably be like maybe Demon Slayer, but I don't know. Like I haven't played any of them except for Nickelodeon All Star. Actually, if there was like actual real competition that I know about, I don't think Nickelodeon would win. And this is the reason why, is because it's got no voice acting. It's kind of very basic. It's very simple. It's missing some features that I would like to see. But other than that, I mean, I think it's got branding. It's got popularity. I think
Yeah.
Nickelodeon will win for just on that alone. So, yeah.
Well, we both know that the Game Awards are kind of a popularity contest, right? Like at the end of the day, it's kind of like politics, unfortunately.
Yeah, fair
Because
enough.
not everybody will have played all the games. But I guess you would read the next one if we're gonna still
Best
alternate.
family. It Takes Two, Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, WarioWare Get It Together. This has commonly
Well,
been known as the Nintendo category, and Nintendo is
yeah.
nominated out of 4 out of 5 of these bad boys. I am going to
There's been
be
previous years where they had 5 out of 5, by the way. But I just want to
yes,
point out that It Takes Two cannot win Best Family because they were getting divorced. So what kind of family? Anyway, I'm just fucking around. Go ahead,
yeah,
Liz.
yeah. I would be very surprised if It Takes Two wins this one. I don't think I would want them to win this category either. So my vote's gonna go for Mario Party Superstars. People like throwbacks. It's got the N64 boards, the N64 mini games. I think even GameCube mini games in there, just kind of like remixed in there as well. So I don't think people have anything bad to say about Mario Party Superstars. So I'm gonna give it to that one.
All right. I feel like I've heard literally nobody talk about WarioWare. I feel like Super Mario 3D World. I don't even. Well,
It's a port
th-
slash
it's
new
it's a it's a
expansion.
port, right? So I'm gonna give it to It Takes Two.
Wow. Oh my God.
Mm.
Okay. You know what? Best of luck to you. I think Nintendo generally tends to dominate this category, but we'll see. All right.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, next up for best sim/strategy game, we got Age of Empires 4, Evil Genius 2 World Domination, Humankind, Inscription, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is a tough category because I think Age of Empires 4 is strong here, Microsoft Flight Simulator is strong here, but also that was already out, right? That game is from last year.
I think it's just
I know
because it got the
Inscription.
Xbox Series X edition, I guess.
I've heard plenty about Humankind too. This is a genre that I used to like be into, and then I just haven't played these games. Haven't played these games in years. I'm
Is this
gonna.
in this an equal 5 horse race, or is it a 4 horse race? Because
I
I would
don't know
say,
about Evil
yeah, I
Genius,
would say Evil
but
Genius would probably be like the odd man out and make it a 4 horse race.
yeah, I would put it. I think it's four-way split between the other four. Yeah. Um, I'm almost picking one at random here, but because I'm actually gonna go with Humankind.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know a few people that played it and that said really good things about that game, but it's a new IP as well, which can work against it or to its favor.
So you were talking big about Inscription last week, and it makes me want to like give it that one. But I want to go with Safe Comfort Food on this, and I'm going to go with Microsoft Flight Simulator.
All right.
All right, my turn. All right, so next category is Best Sports slash Racing Game: F1 2021, FIFA 22, Forza Horizon 5, Hot Wheels Unleashed, Riders Republic. It's obvious. It's Forza.
Yep. Sign me up for that too.
All right, you're up.
Probably the easiest category to call, in my
Yeah,
opinion, by the way.
exactly. It was like a Game of the
Best
Year contender. It's gonna
Yeah,
win.
it was the best reviewed game of the year, so for sure. Best multiplayer, we got Back for Blood, Knockout City, It Takes Two, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim. That's a weird one. Um, but you know what? I already gave It Takes Two like two awards. I'm gonna give it to them here as well. And
Wow.
yeah, because the more awards I give, I know they're at least gonna win one. The more I give to them, the closer I am to actually getting one right.
I'm gonna go with It Takes Two on this one as well. I think it was. I think it's a 2 horse race between this one and Back for Blood. I know people like themselves Left 4 Dead, and I think
Mhm.
if it's like the multiplayer of Left 4 Dead, you're onto something good. However, I haven't heard anybody talking about it, and I don't know if it reviewed well. So I'm
Here's
gonna.
the thing with Back for Blood, Lewis, is that it came like so many people were excited about it, and then it came out, and
And
then the people that are excited about it are not really playing it. I don't know why. Like I'm not playing it, you're not playing it, but that's also true for a lot of other people. I've heard that. In fact, after Back for Blood came out, Left 4 Dead 2 was ahead of Back for Blood on the Steam charts. Like there were more people still playing Left 4 Dead 2 than Back for Blood. So I don't know what went wrong with that game. I don't know if it's the marketing or what. I still want to play it, but it just didn't hit. It didn't hit in the same way that Left 4 Dead did.
All right, so It Takes Two. All right, my guess is my turn, I believe. Content Creator of the Year: Dream, Fuslie, Gauls, Ibai, and Gref G. I only know who Gref G and Dream are, and I'm gonna go with the bigger name. I'm gonna go with Dream.
I have no idea who any of those people are. If I was more prepared for this, I would have looked them up and checked like their follower count and stuff. But I'm just gonna go random here, and I'm gonna say Graph G.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I only know who Gref G is because he was a skin on Fortnite. So
Okay,
yeah.
probably a good pick for me then. Uh, for best debut indie, we got The Artful Escape, The Forgotten City, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Sable, and Valheim. I'm gonna give it to Kena again.
All right, there we go. Sign me up for that one as well. All right, my turn. All right, so for the next category, it is most anticipated game. Now, this is the stacked. This I think is the most stacked um, category. This entire Game Awards, and this is why. And the reason why I say it is because this might be the closest one to be a 5-way split as far as like each of these bad boys has a
Mhm.
equal chance of winning. I would say the odd man out maybe Starfield because I don't think people talk about that game. So I would say maybe it's a 4 horse race, but this is the closest one you can make an argument that it's that everyone has a chance. So I have no idea who to pick. The nominees are Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Breath of the Wild 2, and Starfield. And I'm gonna go with my most anticipated game on this one, and I'm gonna give it to Breath of the Wild 2.
I make the same choice.
All right,
It's boring, but I think that's who's gonna win this.
all right, and I believe you
And
get
our
to get the
final
last
category,
category. Yeah.
yeah, our final one here, best esports game. We got Call of Duty. They just wrote it as Call of Duty, but I wonder if they specifically mean Warzone. Counter Strike Go, Dota 2, League of Legends, and Valorant. And I have no idea what's going on in the esports world with all these games. Um, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna go with Call of Duty.
I
It's
almost,
big.
yeah,
It's it's kind of new in like the battle royale world and stuff. So
yeah. I'm gonna just. I was honestly. I have a three-way split between Call of Duty, CS:GO, and LoL. Um, since I haven't been hearing about like CS:GO and LoL like in a long time, as far as like from a buzzy perspective, like Twitter, like stuff. So I'm just gonna go with the hotness and just go with Call of Duty. So yeah.
yep. All right, Louis. So we got our we made our picks. Before we move on to the next topic, I just want to ask, how do you feel about these Game Awards nominations overall? And
Uh,
are you confident on your choices?
None of these things offend me. As far as their choices go, I'm pretty. I don't think. I don't. I think I felt more bullish last year than I do this year. This year, I don't know. I just kind of feel very, very safe. I don't know why, but none of these like move the needle for me. I also just did a quick count. We only agreed 8 times in total. Out of 26 nominations, we have 8 overlaps. So that's not too bad.
I feel like we're also kind of trying not to be too samey. At least I was making some choices where I was like, I don't want to pick the same as him, so let me go a different direction there. I just went on the Twitch homepage, by the way, to see the most watched stuff to kind of have an idea for some of these things. Number one is Fortnite. I'm skipping the ones that are not video games, by the way, but number one is still Fortnite, then GTA 5, then Halo Infinite right now, League of Legends, Valorant right after. Fall Guys is up here, so I'm guessing new season must have come out or something. PUBG, Minecraft, Apex Legends, and then we get to the Call of Duties.
Hmm.
So Call of Duties are actually kind of low on the viewership right now compared to some of these other games. So maybe we
We might
took
have
the
missed it.
wrong choice there. Yeah, but we'll find out. You never know. Now our first topic of discussion in here that is an actual news story is this one from Polygon, written by Ana Diaz. Streamlabs drops OBS from company name in response to recent controversy. The company has also been accused of copying from its competitor, Lightstream. Streamlabs OBS, a leading company for live streaming software, is removing the phrase OBS from its name after facing criticism from multiple sources, including popular streamers and other companies. Starting today, the company will be known as Streamlabs. On Tuesday, the company also faced allegations that it had copied its website descriptions and design from a competitor called Lightstream. Streamlabs responded to the claim from Lightstream in a public tweet. Text on the landing page was placeholder text that went into production by error. This is our fault. We removed the text as soon as we found out. Our intended version is now live. Lightstream team is great, and we've reached out directly to them to apologize. On Wednesday, Streamlabs issued a statement saying that it would drop the OBS from its name and that it takes full responsibility for its actions. The statement did not make a reference to the accusation from Lightstream. Polygon has reached out to both Streamlabs and Lightstream for comment, but did not hear back before publication time. Streamlabs' decision to drop OBS from its name comes to the heels of a public tweet from the original creators of the open source software OBS. OBS tweet claims that Streamlabs reached out ahead of its launch to ask about including OBS in its software title. OBS asked Streamlabs not to do this, but Streamlabs did it anyways. We've tried to sort this out in private, and they have been uncooperative at every turn, the tweet from OBS said. Uh, I don't know if I need to keep going on this. It's a pretty lengthy article, but you get the idea of what's going on here. Lewis can bring in any other thoughts or things that we need to make sure to hit on. But I have to
So
say, Lewis,
I'm gonna just skip to the part where there's a tweet at the bottom. It's just like, hey, can I copy your
yes.
homework? Yeah, just change it up a bit so it's not obvious you copied. Bet. And then there's a image of the two websites, and they are damn near like it's damn near plagiarism. So
It is literally this. That's crazy, man. You know what's interesting is like based on their argument or their excuse that it was placeholder stuff. What they probably did is that they hired somebody to make the website or whatever, like, or they had somebody make the website internally, and they said just make it like this one, and they started like because they were told like, oh, just make it like this one. They started by copy and pasting it, and then they edited on top of it, but. they it's crazy that they put it live in a way that was so blatantly a copy. They
No, and the funniest part is that even the testimonials on the website are the exact same thing, and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh my god, that's fucked up. And it's funny, Lewis, is I'm out of this world of like I don't really know how to use these things very well. I haven't really even tried to use them that much, but I always thought it was confusing that the name OBS meant, different things. That, people would say like, "Oh, are you using OBS?" And then it'd be like, "Oh, you mean Streamlabs?" Yes. Oh no, like actual OBS. There was like the fact that there was like a difference, but that both had OBS in the name. I always found confusing. Like it's almost as if, I created a new social media and I called it like, Daniel's Facebook or something, and then it became popular. It's like, oh, are you on Facebook or Daniel's Facebook? Like, what the hell? Um, so anyway, what do you think of this?
Yeah, so OBS is open. It stands for Open Broadcaster Software. It's open source and it's free and it's publicly
Hmm.
it's public code. It's not like anyone owns it. OBS is
Right.
the people that make it and everything like that. They kind of shepherd it and they code it and everything like that. Streamlabs just basically put a Streamlabs skin slash a Streamlabs coat of paint on OBS, and that's why if you look at the programs and you have them both installed, they look very similar to each other. That's because it's using OBS as a foundation. So
Mm,
that's why they call it Streamlabs OBS, because if you know how to use OBS, you know how to use Streamlabs. But they're using the Streamlabs OBS name without OBS's permission. Uh, and
right.
they've been asking them
That's
to
crazy.
take it down and stuff like that. Pokimane tweeted, it says here, there we go. Streamlabs better resolve this entire thread of issues, or I'll be asking them to take my face off of the platform. Plus, look into using another donation service. That's Pokimane is a very
Wow.
big name, and she had a partnership with Streamlabs, and she is like willing to cut the cord. And I think it's really an interesting situation where like I think gamers may be a different breed of consumers where they will like they will drop stuff on principle more than your average consumer. So, yeah.
I think that's an interesting assessment you just made there. Like I think you have there's some level of truth to that. I just feel like it depends on the type of gamer, the type of consumer. I feel like we use the term gamer. It's a bit of a broad term. Like you can have like your what people tend to call like your more hardcore gamers
Casuals.
or your more casual gamers or whatever, right? And like people sometimes use that in a deprecating way, but I don't even mean it like that. I just mean there's different types of gamers, and that conversation always comes up when there's controversy around the games industry. So I'm going to actually almost use that as a jumping point to this other story. I'm going to go to the third story here. Like something happens with Activision, right? And then there's these terrible stories coming out from like their employing conditions and stuff, and then you see everybody jump to Twitter, talking about how they're going to boycott the new Call of Duty or whatever. But then I often get the feeling that the game comes out and it still sells millions and millions of copies, and you almost wonder if it actually even made a dent in their bottom line at the end of the day. And websites still cover it and market it and all that kind of stuff. um, so I feel like I'm only bringing that up as almost like a counter example to your statement, where it's like I agree with you that that seems to happen sometimes, but I also don't think it happens with everything.
Let me just point out that Streamlabs, if you have Streamlabs or if you have OBS, I think you're a bit of a more hardcore gamer. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
to be a Twitch streamer, you have to have like OBS and you have to like have a capture card and all this other stuff. And like I think that you're not gonna be the guy that just plays bro shooters or FIFAs every year. You know what I mean? Like there's a
right.
difference.
Yeah, fair enough. And since I mentioned it, let's hit up this story as reported by CNN. I think this might be one of the first times that we have a CNN story in the doc here, and it's actually based on a report that was originally from the Wall Street Journal, I believe, or the
Yes.
Washington Post, or one of these sites. So this is pretty serious stuff that we're about to dive into.
Let me just posit that I would have put the Wall Street Journal post on there on the doc. However, it's paywalled, so I can't.
I
We
see.
couldn't put it there.
Fair enough. So let's take a look at this one. Activision Blizzard CEO faces pressure from employees to step down after report. This was written by Rishi Yenger for CNN Business. Activision Blizzard confronted its second employee walkout in less than 6 months after the report raised new questions about CEO Bobby Kotick's knowledge of long-standing and widespread sexual harassment and discrimination allegations at the video game company. More than 100 Activision Blizzard employees staged a walkout on Tuesday calling for Kotick to step down as CEO, according to the group organizing it. The walkout came in response to a Wall Street Journal investigation published earlier in the day, which cited internal company documents and people familiar with the matter, indicating that Kotick was aware of those issues for several years. In a video message to employees on Tuesday that was transcribed and posted on the company's website, Kotick claimed that the journal story, open quote, paints an inaccurate and misleading view of our company, of me personally, and my leadership, end quote. He added that anyone who doubts my conviction to be the most welcoming, inclusive workplace doesn't really appreciate how important this is to me. While the report prompted renewed tension with some employees, Activision Blizzard's board of directors reiterated its support for Kotick. Open quote, the board remains confident in Bobby Kotick's leadership, commitment, and ability, end quote, to address the company's longstanding and ongoing issues with harassment and discrimination, it said in a statement Tuesday. In a statement, the organizers behind the walkout said, open quote, the board is just as complicit if they let this slide. It's best time for Bobby to step down, end quote. Activision Blizzard, which owns hugely popular titles such as Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Candy Crush, has been roiled by a sexual harassment and discrimination scandal for months and is currently under scrutiny from multiple government agencies. We kind of covered this in a podcast earlier in the year. A lawsuit filed in July by California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing alleged a frat boy work culture where women were subject to constant discrimination and harassment. The company told CNN at the time that it had addressed the past misconduct and criticized the lawsuit as inaccurate and distorted. The lawsuit and the company's initial response kicked off a storm of dissent from Activision Blizzard's workforce that ultimately led to hundreds of employees staging a walkout at the company's offices in Irvine, California. Kotick subsequently acknowledged that the company's initial response was tone deaf. The company is also facing a complaint from the National Labor Relations Board filed in September, accusing it of unfair labor practices, as well as an investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission that the company has said it is cooperating with. These actions are all still pending, and Activision Blizzard said it continues to productively engage with regulators. They also agreed to pay $18 million on a settlement. Um, but
Yeah.
regardless, I'm getting my mouth dry here of so much that I'm reading on this one.
So some of these things you've covered on previous extra news items that we've talked about
Mm-hmm.
on previous episodes. So it's a bit of a recap of a larger narrative that's going on. But just the newer stuff is regarding Bobby Kotick. The new stuff is regarding the fact that he had prior knowledge about the situation and he was aware of it and did nothing about it, and that he's been basically sort of essentially lying to like the board of directors, like everything's kind of hunky dory, business as usual, but it's really not. There's really a fire, and he's kind of complicit. Um, Now, whether or not you believe his words about that he's basically saying in so many words that the Wall Street Journal is full of shit. Uh, you know, it's kind of like a battle of the war a war of world a war of words happening in the media right now. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, with all due respect, like if this had come from a different source, let's say some small gaming website or even a place like Kotaku that more recently I feel has kind of lost a little bit of its editorial integrity, and it often comes across like they're kind of intentionally trying to, make, um, clickbaity headlines and, go after developers for sometimes unwarranted reasons and stuff like that. And um, but this came from the Wall Street Journal, so I feel like the Wall Street Journal would not publish something, these kinds of accusations if they had not taken the due diligence of doing, proper
Sourcing.
reporting and is sourcing and sticking to their journalistic integrity and stuff. So I almost feel like
And the Wall Street
this is a
Journal
different.
the Wall Street Journal is not a gaming outlet either. They're a real news outlet,
Yes,
so
that's the thing. It's like this is like, this shit is real, and it's not like it wasn't before. I mean, we've been covering this. They're being sued by a freaking government agency. You know, like this has been real for a long time, but I just mean that um, this story has grown outside of our typical gaming circles of sources that we don't necessarily know if they have complete journalistic integrity or whatever, because we don't know what the vetting process is for hiring journalists at some of these websites and stuff. And versus now, this is like you can trust this, like this is real. So I, based on the accusations, if the accusations are true, I think he does need to resign. I can't really see him resigning himself, but in that case, then the board of directors needs to do something about it and change leadership. And honestly, regardless of this entire situation, I feel like even from a managerial standpoint, Activision Blizzard has not been doing so well for a while now. They seem to be having a lot of misses over the last few years and not a lot of hits, especially on the Blizzard side. And I feel like it might be a good time to kind of do a big restructuring of this company. For I feel like things need to change, not just to address these types of issues, but even maybe on the management of their products.
So I went ahead and I side googled a new article from gamesindustry.biz, because there
Hmm.
has been new updates to the story. Because when I made the doc, I made it yesterday, and so that CNN article was from yesterday. There has been new updates, kind of coming on, even as far as today. And there ha- I went ahead and pulled this article up from Games Industry, and it reads, quote, Phil Spencer evaluating Xbox's relationship with Activision Blizzard following Kotick's allegations. Microsoft Gaming leadership is, quote, disturbed and deeply troubled by claims against Call of Duty's publisher's CEO. And there has been a similar title and headline regarding PlayStation's heads, saying that something
Hmm.
similar along the veins. But I'm going to go with this one here because I can't find it, at least as quickly as I want to. But it says that Xbox boss Phil Spencer is considering taking action against Activision Blizzard as the outcry against its CEO Bobby Kotick continues to escalate. I'm going to skip to this part where it says, in his email, Spencer said he and the gaming leadership team at Microsoft were disturbed and deeply troubled by the horrific events and actions. Spencer added that he is evaluating all aspects of a relationship with Activision Blizzard and making ongoing proactive adjustments. There are no details on
Yeah.
what form this action may take, but Xbox is a key platform for Activision Blizzard, given the popularity of its Call of Duty franchise um, on Microsoft's consoles. So that's an
I
interesting
think
blow. Yeah.
I think Kodak will be out. Based on that and a few other things that I think I saw as well, I think Kodak will be out in the next few months because the public pressure will lead, some level of boycotting, like we're talking about, but not that much. Probably not enough to make a significant, financial trouble. But there will be some level of boycotting. There will be a lot of boycotting from within the company as well, and then you're like the walkouts and stuff. We are going to see from now that somebody like Phil Spencer gets involved, right? Like the truth is, we're going to see people are going to be vocal about this. Like people that work at Microsoft, people that work at other companies, other studios are going to be vocal about this stuff, which are going to lead the leadership at these studios to want to, rethink their relationship with Activision, which that's going to be put pressure on the board of directors. It's basically like all the dominoes falling, right? Like that's going to lead to the board of directors being put in a situation where they're going to have to replace Kotick or they're going to lose business, right? So I think we're probably going to see that happen over the next few months. And I
So
think based on this stuff, it's probably going to be for the better.
yeah, well, I was gonna say honestly, there's a bit of a twofold here because Kotick in his previous article, in the CNN article, he's basically saying that the board is behind him. So there's that. But number two, the biggest thing is even if you are right and he gets ejected and gets yeeted out of the company, he's gonna get a golden parachute, a great severance package of millions of dollars. So I don't even know if
Yeah,
that's truly a win. It's
yeah.
it's
Well,
only a win
I
if he
guess
doesn't get a golden parachute.
it is a win for the company. It is not necessarily a win if your goal is to get him in jail or whatever, because we, even though that might be what he deserves, that might not happen. It depends on what kind of stuff they have on him, right? Like that is up to the legal system then at that point. But anyway, I don't want to prolong this too much longer. We shall see what happens in the months to come, and I'm sure there's going to be more updates to the story in future episodes. This one, I'm not sure how much time Lewis is going to want to spend on it because it's more of his thing. Former Smash Pro Zero reviews confession was suicide note in YouTube return.
So
Recon-
we should definitely preface this with a trigger warning.
yes,
So
yes. Should probably have done that even before I read the headline, but
yes,
it's already done now. Reported by Michael Gwilliam for Dexerto.com. Zero is one of the most high profile Smash players. I skipped the first line here. Former Smash Brothers pro Gonzalo Zero Barrios has announced a return to content creation after uploading a new YouTube video addressing past allegations. Zero is one of the most high profile Smash players, boasting nearly 1 million subscribers on YouTube and a very successful esports career in which he won over 50 tournaments in a row. During the summer of 2020, Zero was accused of sending vile messages to underage players and later confessed to these allegations. He has since stated that this confession was made under duress and was a open quote suicide note end quote. Open quote. This document is nothing more than a suicide letter that I wrote during a tremendous mental breakdown. I had fully planned to take my life right after posting the document because I pretty much lost all faith in that scenario, end quote, he revealed, citing how his closest friends had reacted to the allegations. According to Barrios, he intended to harm himself after giving up hope. He now views many of these allegations as a plot to assassinate his character and has since retained legal counsel. A few months after posting the confession, Zero attempted to take his own life.
which we
I'm in
covered.
the middle of a lawsuit with some of the involved parties in this case. He said, however, it does have some complications as there are many people involved and some people are completely anonymous. To end the video, Zero said that he never received or sent explicit images when minors, touched anyone underage, or had intentions to groom individuals. Going forward, however, he will not be addressing the allegations and will leave it to his legal team, but acknowledge he has made mistakes in the past. Zero's newest upload comes the same day as YouTuber Technicals released a documentary revealing the truth about what happened to him, seemingly debunking several of the allegations against the Smash star. Regular content on Zero's YouTube channel will be resuming on November 17th.
Which it has. I've been watching his daily uploads. He's getting back to business as usual. He has, he's looking better. He's in better spirits. I watched the 50-minute documentary from Technicals. Technicals is a very good investigative person. Um, and he did
Mm-hmm.
debunk a lot of things. Like, I mean, like, holy crap. There were a couple of things that he was not able to debunk. Like, actually, no, there was one thing he wasn't able to debunk, but he also wasn't able to prove it either. It's like kind of sort of up in the air. And not to mention, like, combined with what Zero said, he said that he's going to be having a legal team handle everything below closed doors, and he may be like pressing charges against the people that did the character assassination on him. So I hope that on the background the legal team goes to work and clears his name. This is a bit of a Nairo situation where Nairo came back and he got unbanned. So hopefully we can see Zero come back as well. And I'm actually gonna just throw in there like I had my reservations even when the whole thing happened and he confessed. Like I kind of didn't believe it because you know, it's a bit. I know it's a parasocial relationship, but Zero is very open on camera about how he is, his personality, and who he is as a person. I never struck to. I never. It never struck me as a type of person that he was kind of like a predator or a danger or harm to minors. I never really. He didn't really like run me that way, kind of. So with bad wording, but whatever. So that being said, like it was a shock, and I'm glad that in hindsight, you can basically say, okay, well, actually, it wasn't a real confession. I was planning to kill myself right then and there after posting it. Suddenly, that makes sense when you contextualize, what he said in those twit-longers. So that being said, justice. Well, hashtag welcome back Zero, all that good stuff, and yeah,
The one thing that I'm a little like at wondering about though is like I still don't buy the whole like he confessed to things that he didn't do. Is that what that's supposed to mean? Like his confession was a lie? Because I don't know if I can believe that. I don't know like if somebody is accused of something they didn't do, why would they record a confession, like confessing to crimes they didn't do, even if they're planning to kill themselves? Like, like, is the idea there? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make sure my legacy is dirty as hell. Like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna kill myself right now. So I'm gonna come in here and say, Lewis, all this terrible stuff that happened in your life, I was the one that did it. Like, and even though I didn't do it, just so that so that I'm basically doing, like,
Well,
rather than clearing my name, I am tarnishing my legacy. It
you
just
have to
seemed
remember
weird.
that when it came to the last summer, like when everyone was getting me too'd, it was a witch hunt, and no one was asking questions. Everyone was just believing everyone, and it was a situation where you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And he was in a situation where he didn't believe that he could prove himself innocent, so he just said fuck it, and he was in a dark place, and I believe it. And the only like guilty thing that Zero is really guilty of is just he's a bit of a social awkward person. I think he's since learned to
Mm.
socialize. He's since socially calibrated, but especially in his early days in his Smash career, he was a little socially awkward. And I think that some of those awkward things sort of like haunt him to this day, so to speak. And that's why some of the technicals video kind of sort of goes into that aspect of his personality. So yeah.
All right. Um, Next story over here from GamesIndustry.biz. We got our NPD results. I'm not gonna go through all the numbers and stuff, but the Nintendo Switch was the best-selling console for the month in both units and dollar sales. So the Switch is back on top. It seems like it was helped by the release of the OLED model. For games, Far Cry 6 debuted at number one, while also being the eighth best-selling game of 2021 to date. It was also the top-selling title on both PlayStation and Xbox platforms in October. Second on the charts was Back for Blood, as Metroid Dread was third best-selling title. Let's go through the list here real quick. So we got three new games on the top three: Far Cry 6, Back for Blood, and Metroid Dread. Then we got Madden NFL 2022, that went from first place to fourth. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba The Hinokami Chronicles got fifth place. That was a new release. FIFA 22 fell from second place to sixth. Guardians of the Galaxy new game at number seven. Mario Party Superstars new game at number eighth. Then we got all repeats here: NHL 22, NBA 2K22, Mario Kart 8, Call of Duty Cold War, Ghost of Tsushima, Smash Ultimate, Animal Crossing, Minecraft, Spider Man Miles Morales, Diablo 2 Resurrected, Mortal Kombat 11, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which actually had a little bit of a bump up. Now, Lewis, I remember we said something, we're trying to guess something about the sports games when we're doing the last NPD. I can't remember if it was like you had a theory that the Sparks games would fall off or something like that, or I
Oh
think you
yeah.
said that. Remember that?
Yeah.
Well,
So last month
four.
Madden was at number one, and last month FIFA was at number two. So it dropped a couple of points. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's both are still in the top 10. In fact, all four, if we include NHL and NBA, all four of those are still in the top 10.
Damn.
Um, but yeah, any surprises here, Lewis?
Well, when it comes to like Guardians of the Galaxy and Mario Party, I think they came out late in October, so it makes sense, especially with Mario Party only counting the physical sales, and also Metroid Dread also the same fate, only physical sales only. So I'm not surprised by these things. I guess maybe on the hype level, I would have given Back for Blood number one and Far Cry 6 number two. So I'm only slightly surprised by that placing.
Given what we were talking about earlier in the show, where I'm not really hearing too much about Back for Blood, I'm actually surprised it was that high. Especially because it's also included on Game Pass.
Oh
So
yeah.
the people that are buying it are buying it on PC or PS4 or PS5. So I would have actually expected it to be lower on the list based on that. And Metroid Dread is number three. So it got beat by Far Cry and Back for Blood, but at the same time, that's still pretty good for a Metroid game, especially since it doesn't include digital sales. Overall, I think this was a good month for new games. We got six new games on the top eight.
Plus, I
Um,
think Metroid Dread might, be that evergreen title that stays on the top 10, month after month, kind of like Smash and Breath of the Wild.
that's true. Now for a little check this out here, we actually got an official announcement of the game Multiversus. This is the Warner Brothers um, fighting title that we were talking about that had been rumored and leaked and etc. A few weeks ago, and we talked about it here in the show. It might have even been last week. I lost my notion of time. But I'm watching this live right now as we record the podcast for the first time. I hadn't seen this yet, and oh my god, this looks really cool. Um, I like the art style. They're going for this. I guess it's like very cartoony. It looks like cartoon versions of all the characters.
Yeah.
I can see Batman fighting here. I can see Bugs Bunny. We got Harley Quinn. We got the characters from Adventure Time. Can't remember their names. Actually, we specifically see the dog, right?
Yeah. We got Arya Stark from Game of Thrones and Steven
That's
Universe.
crazy.
But yeah, it looks really awesome. It seems to be like the main mode seems to be 2v2 as like the main mode, but there is a 1v1 mode. Um, I will say I do like the art style. I do like the it looks very good like graphically. My only like reservation is that this game looks hella floaty and slow. Like
Yeah.
um like the game speed is just too slow for me. Like I think a little bit more Smash Ultimate. It's kind of a little too brawl for me for my taste. Slash
Mhm.
Brawlhalla. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Well, it's insane to see all these characters interacting with each other and fighting each other anyway. I do hope the gameplay actually turns out to be good. Um,
And
dude, if the
and authentic voice acting. So take that
oh
Nickelodeon.
yeah, yeah, if the gameplay on this actually turns out to be good and they keep oh my god, I'm seeing Ultra Instinct Shaggy
Shaggy.
right now. That's freaking hilarious. I love that they're embracing the meme culture with this stuff. This is excellent. I am I am more likely to get this than I am Nickelodeon. Actually,
I
I
mean, it's
just
free
feel
to
like
play, so
oh yeah,
um,
there's that as well.
yeah, it's gonna be free to
So
play.
much potential.
Rollback netcode, so it's gonna have better like dedicated servers. It's gonna have better online than Smash Ultimate. So it's gonna gotta have that melee netcode. So there you go.
Awesome stuff. All right, go check that out. Now let's hit our extra news here. Number one, I think this is kind of huge. Elder Scrolls 6 has been confirmed as an Xbox and PC exclusive, so not coming to PlayStation platforms. This was revealed by Phil Spencer in an interview with the British GQ magazine. Number two, the first ever Nintendo license, a Smash Brothers Circuit, has finally happened. Esports team Panda Global is partnering with Nintendo of America to bring circuits for both Melee and Ultimate in 2022. Number three, Microsoft's Altspace VR team is working on a reboot of One vs. 100 with full support from the Xbox Games division. Number four, Halo Infinite is already the most played Xbox Game Studios title of all time on Steam. We're going to talk about it in the next segment, but Halo Infinite was kind of stealth dropped over the last week. Number five, Xbox Game Pass began life as a game rental service, according to a new Microsoft interview. Number six, Call of Duty Vanguard was Call of Duty's worst UK launch in 14 years,
Ooh.
indicating that that game might not be doing that well. Possibly influenced by all the stuff that's been happening with Activision this year as well. Number seven, Ryuga Gotoku Studio, which is the studio behind the Yakuza and Judgment series, is working on a new IP, according to a recent interview. Number eight, Dan Hay, the veteran creative behind many Far Cry games, has left Ubisoft last week after a decade of service. Number nine, indie dev Ultra Dolphin Revolution plans to celebrate the Wii U's ninth anniversary with one final game called Captain U. So there's a new Wii U game coming out soon, folks.
Next
Number
month.
10, Bandai Namco and developer Dimps has revealed Dragon Ball The Breaker, an asymmetrical multiplayer game coming to the Switch, PS4, PC, and Xbox in 2022, also compatible on the PS5 and the Xbox Series. In a roundup, indie hit Loop Hero is coming to the Switch on December 9th this year. Alien Isolation is coming to mobile on December 16th. Volition Saints Row Reboot was delayed to August of 2022. And Capcom's mysterious project Pragmata, coming to next gen and PC, was delayed to 2023.
So I am gotta say, number 10. You should have put that in the roundup. I'm just throwing that out there.
It
Um,
was making it was getting too long.
yeah. uh, Number 8. Dan Hay is leaving Ubisoft. So I saw like some speculation that because he's leaving Ubisoft now, Ubisoft can get to do whatever they want with Far Cry, and they're gonna make it as a game as a service, and maybe that's kind of the reason why Dan Hay would leave because he doesn't want it to his baby to go that way. So, you know what I mean? Like that's some interesting little speculation that I saw there. I don't know if. See, here's the thing. Number six, Call of Duty Vanguard. I don't know if the sales performance or the lack thereof was due to any controversy with Activision. I think that just Call of Duty is sort of you know on a downhill trajectory. I think we've peaked with Call of Duty like 5 years ago, in my opinion.
I'm gonna disagree with you there, not based on my opinion, but just based on facts, which is that we see Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War on the charts, on the NPD charts, like literally every month,
Fair
and
enough.
I am pretty sure the games continue to sell just as much as they always have. This might be the one exception. I don't think it's been a trend personally. There might have been a trend of like Call of Duty fatigue amongst games industry commentary. I feel like there's a lot of older games media folks that have been covering it for the last 15 years that don't really play it anymore or talk much about it. Like I was listening to Podcast Unlocked. We got Ryan McCaffrey and Destin Legary there and a few other people, and they're talking about how they're not interested in this year's Call of Duty. They've played way too many Call of Duties. It's a lot of the same stuff, and that Vanguard is back to World War II, and they felt like they just had that with a few years ago World War II, the what they call WW2, right?
Yeah.
And then also we got some other competition coming out. We got Battlefield, we got Halo Infinite, whose multiplayer is out already. We got Warzone actually is kind of in a way competing with Call of Duty as well. We got all the different battle royale games, Apex, PUBG, Fortnite, and all this stuff. So Far Cry 6, also a shooter, just came out. So um, maybe in the past Call of Duty, they were the ones all these other the games were competing with, but now maybe Call of Duty also has to adapt and grow and evolve to compete with all these other great games that people are falling in love with.
Yeah. My biggest news here is the finally like a real circuit. Like we've had a circuit started last
Yeah,
year in 2020 that had to get delayed to this year, called the Smash World Tour. The Smash World Tour is an actual circuit. However, it was community driven. It wasn't officially partnered or licensed by Nintendo. This is the first ever licensed by Nintendo tournament, and I've seen many a YouTube documentary about how there was a circuit that was supposed to be done by Nintendo years ago, sponsored by Twitch, that fell through on the back end. So I'm finally happy to see that Nintendo has acknowledged Melee. So Melee and Ultimate
yeah.
are the two games, and there's cash prizes, is what it says in this readout here, and I'm just surprised that of all the partners you decide to partner with, Panda Global. I mean, I know who Panda is. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not. They're not like slouches or anything like that. But they're not. I don't know. Like, they're not Twitch. They're not YouTube. They're not. I don't know. They're not even like VG Bootcamp. I think VG Bootcamp would have been a better choice. But um, yeah, I'm just
I don't even know what
surprised.
that is. Honestly, I don't even know what Panda Global is.
Oh, okay. Well, Panda Global, they're an esports team. They sponsor players and they also
Mm.
do stats. They're the official statisticians of like the Smash Bros community. Like they give you like the rankings. They're the ones that do the power rankings, like the top 50, top 100. It's called the PGR. It's called the Panda Global Ranking. You know, and they give you
I
like
guess
this.
maybe in a very non-Nintendo kind of move, because this it feels like a non-Nintendo kind of move. They wanted to, give back to their community and partner up with, people that were involved in creating creating is not the word, but just kind of
Fostering the
fostering
community.
the Smash community, yeah. As opposed to just going to Twitch or whatever. So I think that makes sense actually now that I think about it. Yeah, and aside from that, I don't really have a lot else to say here that we didn't already say. So Louis, I'm down to give the show over to you to take us home with the next few segments.
All right, here we go.
What are you buying?
I just gotta say that you're giving the show to me at an hour and 38 on video, probably less on audio. But just gonna throw that out there that I knew this was a fat show, especially with how much controversial shit we had to cover.
Yeah, the
Anyways,
stories were too big to just kind of glance over, honestly.
yeah. So Halo Infinite multiplayer stealth dropped to celebrate Xbox's 20th anniversary. That was
Woo!
nice. Also on the anniversary stream, Xbox Series and Xbox Ones, they got backwards compatibility titles just dropped in there. 74 new games. I believe it was either 73 or 74. 74, I think it's 74 games got backwards compatibility added to the program, including original Xbox titles, including Max Payne as and other Star Wars titles. Just got to say that I think this might be the last one they'll ever do. I really cross my fingers and hope they continue to do backwards compatible stuff, especially for OG Xbox. I really like that, even though I never used it, but I've used it once. So there you go. And also, just out of nowhere today, I believe it was either today or yesterday, I forgot which day it was. The Xbox Series and the Xbox One, they got updates that allowed for xCloud finally to all Xbox Ultimate Game Pass people, subscribers. You know, X gonna give it to you. You know, so yeah, XCloud. It makes your Xbox One play Xbox Series games. And finally, Mario Kart Home Circuit is updated with split screen multiplayer and new course assets. So this makes me want to buy Mario Kart Home Circuit more, especially with it being on sale on Black Friday for $60. So yeah. So as far as new releases go, we have Battlefield. Let me go ahead and get ready here. All right, Battlefield 2042. It's gonna come out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on November 19th. Welcome to 2042. Battlefields changing before your eyes. A cutting-edge arsenal at your disposal. The grand return of all-out warfare. Adapt and overcome in massive-scale 128-player battles where dynamic storms, environmental hazards, total combat freedom, and battlefield signature destruction spark a new breed of only in battlefield moments. Next up is Nerf Legends, also on the 19th. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And also on the 19th, we got Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl on the Nintendo Switch on November 19th. Experience the nostalgia of the Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Pearl games in an adventure reborn on the Nintendo Switch systems. The original story has been faithfully reproduced, and these remakes include easy to understand, player friendly conveniences of the modern Pokemon series, plus up close and personal Pokemon battle scenes. And as a side bonus, if you have game saves on your Nintendo Switch system from Pokemon Sword and Shield, you can get Jirachi, straight up, mythical Pokemon Jirachi. And if you have Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee game saves on your Switch system, you can get Mew as a Pokemon within the game. So that's dope. Next up, Farming Simulator 2020. Farming Simulator 22. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and Stadia. We don't get to hear enough about Stadia. It's going to drop on November 22nd. Take on the role of a modern farmer and creatively build your farm in 3 diverse American and European environments. Farming Simulator 22 offers a huge variety of farm operations focusing on agriculture, animal husbandry, and forestry. Now with the exciting addition of seasonal cycles. Nice. Summer, spring, all that stuff. More than 400 machines and tools from over 100 real agricultural brands are included to sow and harvest crops like wheat, corn, potatoes, and cotton. New machine categories and crops will add new gameplay mechanics to the experience. Even run your farm cooperatively in multiplayer and extend the game by a multitude of free community-created modifications. Farming Simulator 22 offers more player freedom than ever before and challenges you to become a successful farmer. So start farming and let's get the good times and let the good times grow. And finally, last up, on November 23rd, Death's Door is getting the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and Switch port. It previously released on Xbox and PC earlier this year. So,
So
yeah.
I'm surprised you added a blurb for Farming Simulator 22, but that's cool. A lot of people that like these games are supposedly really good. Actually, they're very detailed. They're very technical. Like they put a lot of work into these games, and people love them. I already know. I'm probably gonna have to get Leah Pokemon, so I'm probably gonna go ahead and get that already sometime soon. Maybe it'll be her Christmas gift or something. I don't know. And we actually do own, Sword. I think it's Sword that we own, and then we also own Let's Go Pikachu. So we're good. Get the extra Pokemons, so that's cool. And then Battlefield, I am working on a Battlefield game as well, so I feel like I don't really want to have an opinion on it. I can probably get that game through work, so I might do that and check it out.
Yeah, my pick of the week is going to be Pokemon, simply because it's Pokemon. It's the one generation that I have the least amount of experience with, so I would really like to revisit it. There has been some controversy about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl in the sense that it doesn't include any of the Pokemon Platinum campaign stuff. Like the
Mm.
extra content that was given to Pokemon Platinum, they didn't include it for some reason, and I think that's a really stupid move, and I think they really should have done that. I don't know, but either way, it is
Could
what it
could
is.
could it be could it be that they have a sparkly platinum coming out a
I
little
really
bit?
doubt it. I don't think they're gonna do it. I mean, like they never when they made Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they never made a an Emerald
Emerald.
equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that, and I think with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they included the Emerald content anyways within the game. So I think that it was a no-brainer, and I think that's really dumb. So either way, that's my pick of the week. I just wanted to read about Farming Simulator because I know it's a big IP, and I played Farming Simulator like one of the previous games because it was free on PlayStation Plus, and I thought it was actually pretty accurate. So it was like a lot of work, with the tractor and all that stuff. So why not? As far as the Broke Gamers Guide, let's go ahead and move on to the next bit.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
So for the Broke Gamers Guide, we always start off with the Epic Game Store, and to no surprise, I talked about Never Alone last week, and I think that Never Alone is the big game of the week. There are three, count them, three free games this week, and I think that's got to be a record, I would say, because they normally top out at two. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we have Guild of Dungeoneering. It says Guild of Dungeoneering is a turn-based dungeon crawling card battler with a twist. Instead of controlling the hero, you build a dungeon around them. Interesting. Interesting art style, by the way. It's got a little trailer playing. Next up is
That's a cool premise for a game, by the way.
no,
That's a cool idea. Yeah.
yeah, it looks whoa. It almost kind of reminds me of that one PlayStation Plus game that was well, I forgot. It was like a very like sketchy like paper book.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. It was David Jaffe's
yeah,
game that Drawn to
Drawn
Death,
to
I
Death.
think.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Kid Amnesia Exhibition. Now, amnesia is really spelled. It's spelled weird because it's got an A and a space, and then the rest of the word. So, an upside down digital analog universe created from original artwork and recordings to commemorate the coming of age Radiohead's Kid A and Amnesiac. I guess this is one of those kind of weird experiences. I don't know, but whatever. It's there. And finally, Never Alone. And let's see, it says here, experience the epic journey of Nuna and Fox as they search for the source of an eternal blizzard that threatens the survival of everything they have ever known. It's a platformer. It looks dope. And yeah, do you have anything to say about any of these?
No, check them out.
All right.
They're
And
free, so I already added them to my library. I always do it. Never play them, but I always do it.
yeah, I think I already added them to my library earlier today as well. Next week's free games allegedly is something called Antstream Epic Welcome Pack, which is supposed to say in its artwork it says over 1,000 retro games, which is sounds interesting. And then there's the Hunter Call of the Wild. All right, now since this is the episode that premieres before Thanksgiving and Black Friday, I decided to put some Black Friday deals on here. So I couldn't, for the life of me, I tried to find a Best Buy like ad, but I couldn't. Best Buy's ad is there, but it's very weird. So I decided not to go with Best Buy. So Walmart, there's Black Friday deals going on. Online only on Monday. That's this coming Monday on November 22nd. You can find the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X at normal MSRP for $500. So while supplies last, and then there are some games that are on sale. So we have for $14 each. I see Watch Dogs Legion. I see let's see what else here. I see Mario and Rabbids. I see Star Wars Squadron from last year. $20 I see Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Resident Evil Village. $25 I see Deathloop and the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. 20
I'm gonna go ahead and say those are some of the best deals here. Deathloop for $25, Mass Effect for $25. I think those are pretty good deals.
yes.
Monster Hunter as well.
$35
Yeah.
I see Far Cry 6 and Guardians of the Galaxy. And $40
Nice.
fuck those bastards. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart $40.
Yeah, that's not that big a deal. Um, there are some pretty good deals though here. Like I would be tempted by, grabbing Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe even grabbing Far Cry 6. I heard it's actually really good. Deathloop for $25 if you got a PS5, which I don't. Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, that's a good one too. All the ones that we already mentioned. But yeah, some pretty solid deals here.
Yeah. All right. And I'm gonna go to move on to Target. And Target's Black Friday deal is there. Let me look at this. I should have done a better job of getting ready. All right, let's scroll. Ah, here we go. All right. I see for $20 there's Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl, Sonic Colors like the new like port slash remaster. It Takes Two for $20. Assassin's Creed Valhalla $20. Guardians of the Galaxy $30. That's even better than Walmart. Deathloop
Deathloop
30.
as well.
Yeah, Deathloop $30. Sackboy: A Big Adventure. I need to get that game. That was a launch game for the PS5. I guess the PS4 version is what they got on this picture, but it's $30. I see Ghost of Tsushima for $50. Oh, come on, that's not a real deal. But yeah, anything you want to shout out?
Where did you see Ghost of Tsushima here?
Oh, it
I'm
says top
I'm
video games on
looking for.
sale, and it says $50 on the bottom. It's got like Life is Strange, Ghost of Tsushima, Ratchet and Clank, and Final Fantasy. I guess these are the next gen versions.
Is it maybe the Ghost of Tsushima? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like
The
the
director's
I
cut.
forgot what they're called. It director's cut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. There's some nice ones here too. Dang, I'm gonna
Apparently,
be.
this Target ad says that the Nintendo Switch OLED will be in stock, is what it says here.
Mhm.
So, there you go. Hopefully that happens. And finally, Dan threw this in here. He says Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is free on PC this week. So claim it and claim it on Ubisoft Connect. Ew, no one's gonna claim that shit.
I remember we covered a long time ago on the podcast. There was because I feel like they do free games every once in a while on Ubisoft Connect. I remember one time we covered that they were giving away like Watch Dogs 2 or something like that. So yeah, to celebrate Splinter Cell's 30-year anniversary or something like some anniversary.
So it's like a free game of the week,
Going.
like Epic Game Store. You have to claim it, and it's yours to keep forever. It's not like a trial, a
Yeah.
1 week trial.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Okay.
No. 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 You claim it and you keep it forever.
Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll think about it. But yeah, I think that's. Other than that, I think I can give the show back to you.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. It is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at ReadyPlayNetwork.com or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at the Dan Lima and Lewis.
At Chocolaka88.
That's right. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. See you next time. Bye bye.
Peace.